what you're used to will use you. And I think that something that is completely necessary to just explore in the space of awareness of the journey of healing is that someday physically, you know, we're not going to be here. And I think that a lot of people have a really hard time sitting with their own finitism, their own, you know, you're just not going to be here physically someday. And it's really hard to sit with that sometimes. But the more that you sit with it, the more that you sit with your own sense of mortality, I think that it has the capacity to drive people to recognize what's most important to them in life. And I was actually just thinking about that. The idea just came into my mind, and I was like, I remember I was about to do something mindless, something that I'm used to, because what you're used to will use you. And I thought about it, and I was like, no, my time is finite, my energy is finite. What's most important to me is what should be occurring right now, what should be taking place. And it's so interesting how these kinds of insights and realizations can really transform your experience, especially on the journey of healing. Because um, here's the way I see it: when you are traumatized, right? You have a tendency to want to avoid things because the things that you're trying to avoid might be something that I don't know brings up trauma, brings up not trauma, pain, brings up pain. And as a result of that, we have a tendency to form defense mechanisms, right? And these defense mechanisms can be many different things. However, mindlessly doing things, it doesn't matter what it is that you're mindlessly doing. What matters is that you're doing it mindlessly and that you're not present to the moment or present with whatever is there. And so, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, this program has been created in my mind of comfort, of we're going to avoid this or that, and as a result of it, we're just going to indulge in whatever it is mindlessly, right? And that's not okay because, like I was saying before, our time, our energy is finite. We have a finite resource of that. And whatever it is that we put that into is what creates our life. So if there's comfort there and it's just things that really aren't going to do anything beneficial for you, you're only going to get more of that. Um, but the interesting thing here is that a lot of the mindless stuff actually has to do with the trauma because you're trying to, through mindless activity, avoid whatever pain is there, whatever pain is just sitting there. And it can be very challenging to deal with that. And I'm sitting with it now, and I'm just realizing that like my time is very valuable, my energy is very valuable. Every single thing that I do throughout the day um, is important. Literally every single, and it's interesting too because like I've previously looked at that statement that every single thing I do throughout the day is important, and the thought of it has actually overwhelmed me because it's like, well, yeah, but like, what about downtime? It's like, okay, but still, you've got 24 hours in a day. Like, what do you really want to do with that 24 hours? And can you be serious enough with it that you're not just doing things that you're comfortable with and familiar with because that's what that is. Um, yeah, the whole idea of like, okay, well, you've got 24 hours in a day. Like, what do you really want? That's actually overwhelmed me because the comfort and familiarity that comes with a lot of mindless, you know, activity of whatever it is. Um, having downtime in the past has been important to me, but and of course, rest is important and everything, but rest that has intention, right? Mindless is not intention. Anything mindless is not intention. And that's what I'm starting to realize now. And it can be really it can be really difficult to like sit with like all of these insights and realizations and recognize that it's like, wow, a majority of my life has been mindless in regardless of whatever um, route that has taken. It has been mindless, and just like sitting with the reality that I have 24 hours in a day, and that if I actually spend all of that time productively and consciously, like you can productively and consciously rest. You can. It won't be something that is just mindless, right? It won't be just you know, sitting on your phone and mindlessly scrolling through social media. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like everything has an intention. And when you live life that way, I believe that life is more fulfilling. I have lived life that way sometimes, not all the time, but when I do, it is unbelievably more fulfilling. But then sometimes I just default to autopilot, to what it is that I was used to. So this space of awareness that I'm sitting in right now, and like, sitting with the understandings of how all of this stuff works, is very interesting, and it's providing me with a lot of awareness in all of this space, and it's just I'm excited to continue exploring it and see how it helps me to further evolve.